that we will be blessed with intelligence and with goodwill and a mind thoughtful of the needs of the many and also the needs of one. We ask that thou will bless and be with all of our city employees who work diligently throughout our community to do good. Please bless and protect them in their work, and especially those that may be in harm's way from time to time. Please bless them to always be able to go home safely. We ask you to bless and help our council members for the service that they render. And at this time, we ask a special blessing to be with John and Mendenhall and the Mendenhall family as they've lost their dear mother. Please bless and comfort John, a great resident of our community and one who has given of himself, and a family that gives often of themselves. We thank thee for them and ask that thou will comfort them at this time. And this we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Donuts, Mayor.
Please stand and repeat after me.
That wasn't me, that was cool.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Scouts. That sounds a lot better when you're in the audience and helping us lead the pledge. We appreciate you being here. And if it's okay, our public information officer, Nick Porter, went and grabbed a couple of things for us when he saw you in the audience. So if somebody, either a leader or whoever, wants to come up and just tell us what troop you're from, we've got some stuff to take with you from Spanish Fork. Is that all right? Okay, come on up. You betcha. Tell us who you are.
Okay, my name's Lisa Ridge, and I'm a resident of Spanish Fork, and we are from PAC 72. Our chartered partner is the parents organization over at American Leadership Academy, ALA.
Awesome.
So, and we came tonight to learn a little bit more about what our city government does and to meet you. And we have been learning about our rights and duties as citizens, about our flag and flag etiquette, about energy in our community and our world, and that's why we're here.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for coming, and you can learn a lot sitting at a council meeting. Just don't learn any from Councilman Gordon here, whatever he said.
He's got something for you.
Hey, if each of you, maybe each of you Scouts, if you want to come up and shake hands with Councilman Argyle and go all the way down to Councilman Euler, we got something we'd like to give you that has the Spanish Fork logo on it. Come right down here.
Front here.
Yep.
There you go, just like that. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for coming, buddy. Here,
work.
take that.
Good work.
Thanks for coming. There you go.
Good job.
Thanks for coming.
We
There
miss
you go.
having scouts.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
There you go. Thanks for coming. There you go. Yeah, take
Be prepared.
what you need there. Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Be
you.
prepared.
Thanks for bringing these.
That'll stick on your fridge.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for bringing them.
Or mark your ball if you go golfing. And that is, so the first thing you need to know is Cub Scouts. If your cellular device goes off in a public meeting, you have to buy donuts for everyone that's in attendance.
Sounds like some kind of alarm.
And
Come back next time.
I don't think that was an Amber Alert. It was not. So
If you come,
Didn't go off while the mayor was.
it's a terrific rule.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the first thing you learned about Spanish Fork politics, right there. Good job,
Guys.
Scouts.
Let us know when you're coming next, and Councilman Argyle will have donuts here for everybody. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Scouts. We're going to move from item C, push it just a little bit here for some people that want to show up for that presentation. We have no follow-up to previous comments in the previous council meeting, so it'll take us to item number 4, public comments. Is there anybody from the public that is here to? Yes. Well, that's not just anybody from the public. That's Miss Spanish Fork. Thanks for being here.
Hi guys.
Hi.
So it was actually Darling Stacy's idea that I come here, but I just wanted to spread the word about a little thing that I'm doing. So I have partnered with Intermountain Hospital to do Spanish Fork's very first Girls' Night Out. And what it is it is a women's health fair for women to come, and it's free, and they can learn about their health. So when we think about going to the hospital and getting screenings done, it's kind of scary, and it shouldn't be that way. So we're trying to make it educational and fun for women. So any woman in the community can bring their girlfriends and come and have a good time. And it's a week from today, actually, October 25th. So it's coming up, and we're super excited.
Good job,
The
Grace.
time 6 to 8.
Yep.
You'll be there.
I will, of course.
And she's creating lots of swag bags.
That is true.
So-
We're doing giveaways. We got lots of vendors. It should be really fun.
And where will it be at?
It'll be at Intermountain Hospital.
In the parking lot area, right?
Yep.
Outside? Okay. Right. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, guys.
Grace.
Appreciate it. Thanks for all the good work you do for us. Anybody else from the general public that would like to address the mayor and council? Nothing? Scouts? Nothing you want to say? They're like, whoa.
Big eyes. Big eyes.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to council comments. We'll ping pong around a little bit today. I'll start with Councilman Argyle for council comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one, we just recently had our Utah League of Cities and Towns Conference, and just want to give a shout out to the league and to our departments. It takes a lot to plan, and we learned so much up there. Get the opportunity to rub shoulders with some of our sponsors and our vendors that serve our city. Get a chance to talk to them and visit with them a little bit, and then get an opportunity to learn some things about other cities. Going to visit with the other communities, councils, and mayors, and get to introduce and know a few of them, and rub shoulders with them as we hear of some of the successes and failures that they have. It's a great opportunity for us to go up there. It takes some time and some effort to go up to these conferences, but we were well served while we were there, and just want to thank them. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Argyle. Councilman Euler?
Yeah, first, just want to say, I've had the opportunity while I was on the planning commission to serve many years with Mike's dad. And he's a great guy. So just want to say to Mike, to John, if you're watching at home, to the entire Mendenhall family, that we love you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. So, along with that, I'm going to turn some time over to Kathleen now for chamber comments.
Thanks so much, you guys. It's good to see you all. So our business summit is going to be on Thursday. We're super excited for that, putting all the finishing touches on it, and I hope to see all of you there, if not a few of you for sure. For sure. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate you. So you can register. We still have a few tickets available at SpanishForkChamber.com. That's going to be Thursday, the 20th, from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our Scarecrow contest, we're in the voting stages for that. So you can also vote for your favorite Scarecrow at SpanishForkChamber.com. We did have a Scarecrow get stolen. So if you guys see a Kevin minion suspiciously anywhere, let us know. We're on the hunt for him. Yeah, like a little yellower, but
Shane didn't miss a beat with that, did he?
so yeah. Luckily we got the photo though, so you can still vote for Kevin. He's just not there anymore. Let's see. Winners will be announced at Trick or Treat on Main Street. So J-Mart is making us signs this year. So there's going to be 2 start points. One of them at Red Rock Orthodontics, the other one at Ken's Auto Body. So you can, and then we'll have signs kind of showing people the flow for that. So we're hoping that maybe it's less of a madhouse this year. It's an attempt. So we'll see what happens. So that's going to be Trick or Treat on Main is the 29th this year of October from 1 to 3 p.m. We're hoping to see everybody out there. And next week, we have a busy week. On Tuesday, the 25th at noon, Senator Mike Lee is going to be in town visiting our business community to try to find out what what are the concerns of our business community and how he could potentially help us out. So that's going to be held at United Energy Workers Healthcare here in Spanish Fork. The 26th, Mountain Mike's is having their grand opening. So that will be an all-day event. The business community will be there at noon to celebrate them, but the whole day is going to be their grand opening, so they'll have discounts on their pizza and their buffet all day in celebration of that. And on the 27th at noon, Postal Annex is opening up, so we'll have the ribbon cutting event that week, and that's what we've got coming up this month. Thanks, you guys.
Busy.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathleen. A couple other things. The animal shelter had their adoption event back on the 8th. They had a great turnout from what I was told, and they had 31 pets that got adopted out and sent home. So great event there. The senior center, they're having a dance this Friday, 5 p.m. Any seniors that want to participate in that, Friday at 5. And then they're having a Halloween party October 31st at noon for their lunch. Dress up if you could, for those that are going to be attending. And then one more thing with seniors. Updates are being made to the Senior Center website. You could do a Google search for Spanish Fork Senior Center to find the website. So anyone at home watching that's interested in learning more about our Senior Center, you can find information on their website. Last week, we had a joint meeting with the Planning Commission. It was an excellent meeting, and I just want to say thank you to those that serve on our Planning Commission. They put in a lot of time to do a lot of the work that makes it easier for the decisions that we make here on City Council. So thank you to our Planning Commission. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Euler. Thank you. Councilwoman Beck.
First off, last week I was able to attend the Spanish Fork University 101. This is the third semester that the city is offering that, and last week was up at Station 62. There are about 15 class members there, and they were cutting open doors, bashing in windows, spraying, using the fire hose, spraying the dirt, climbing through ambulances, and fire trucks, and Captain Christina Reed was able to explain to them, you know, how many calls they're anticipating this year, how many miles they're covering. It was just really educational. It was really cool because I would just automatically assume, oh, longtime residents are doing this. But when I was walking in with another gentleman, and he had lived in Spanish Fork for 3 months. So it's just really neat to see people moving into our community. It's a great opportunity to get to know all of the different departments and more people in the community. So thanks to all the firemen that were there and the Station 62 crew that was there that night, and the people that are participating. And next spring, we will have another class for those that are interested. You can enroll at that time. And then this week, I was able to join in a Zoom meeting for the Legislative Policy Committee meeting. And they talked about how the Water Division resources will be reaching out to golf courses about their water uses. And I was excited because we've made leaps and bounds in there's been leaps and bounds in effort made, saving how many thousands or millions of gallons of water. We cut it in half with our new irrigation. That's so cool.
That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water. Okay, but we've cut it in half by putting in a new irrigation up there, so that's exciting. So I think that's all. Besides, I would also just like to offer my condolences to our mayor and his family and his dad. I was able to serve with John and Lena Mendenhall several years back on the Fiesta Days committee, and they have hearts of gold. They've served their community, and they've been great examples to their kids and grandkids of how to leave a legacy behind and be a good example to their family. And I just want the Mendenhalls to know how much I love and appreciate them. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Councilwoman Beck. Councilman Marshall.
Thanks, Mayor. First of all, express our condolences to you as well. It's too close. John and your family, Amber and your little family at home, it's a big loss. We feel for you. But if you ever need anything, we're there. I'm going to stop before they just go down my face. the referendum's over. It's time to roll up our sleeves and start thinking about what the rec center looks like, where it goes, what's in it. We have a lot of work to do. Looking forward to that conversation. Sorry, Brenda, you won't be here to have it with us. But
I'm still a resident.
maybe worse for us. It is time to step up and get that thing moving. I can't wait for that to happen. I'm with Kevin. The Joint Planning Commission this last week was really good. Dave, we need more than one a year, so hopefully we can get that booked. We have a lot of work to do. I share Kevin's sentiment that they do a lot of good work, and without the Planning Commission, we would be buried. So we appreciate the good work that they do, and we have a lot of work to do together over the next year to look at the general plan and have a go at it again for the first time in 10 years. So I'm looking forward to that. That's about it for me.
Thank you, Councilman Marshall. Thank you. Councilman Gordon.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to thank the Chamber for the farmers market, the wonderful year that I know we have a couple more weeks, but as vendors, it means a lot to have such a great organized event in our wonderful city. People love it. The farmers appreciate all of the efforts that goes into that. So thank you on behalf of one of the vendors to the Chamber. Thank you. Last Thursday, I got a call from one of our officers and asked for Mayor's phone number, and he didn't have it, and thought it would be a good idea to just touch base with him that he had responded to his mother's house, and the word he gave me was things were going to be okie dokie. And so I immediately called Mike and said, hey, I know you're not going to answer a number you don't recognize. So he goes, oh, I answered it, I got it, and and so if you don't know, Mike's mom ended up passing away on early Saturday morning, and I had a lot of swirling thoughts going on, and so I figured the best way to do this was just to write it down, Mayor. And it's not in poem format, so I apologize for that, but I think the secret to our amazing council and staff at Spanish Fork is that we are a family, and like most families, it's blissful. Sometimes we fight. We even have a black sheep named Shane. And over the years, as a family, we've lost members of our family. We've lost Glenn from Moses Lake, Richard Banks, Joyce Swanner, Ruth Leifson, Roxanne Marshall, Chad Beck, Keith and Beth Gordon, Richard Johnson, to name a few, and now Lena Jean Mendenhall. And man, this one, like the others, really hurts. My friend Mayor Mike instilled confidence in me to run for Utah County Commission almost a year ago. It was a close primary race, but in June, the day I saw my numbers tick up and I realized I was going to win, I received news that my oldest daughter miscarried and lost my first grandbaby. Celebration of that win didn't really look like I had imagined it, overshadowed with sad news. Many years ago, I asked an uncle that served as a city councilman why he didn't run for mayor in our great town, and he said, because I would run just to see if I could win. And being elected, an elected official, is not just about winning the race. It's if you can be proud of what you've done for your community during your elected time. Our mayor and council had a victory for at the first of last week as the referendum petitioners failed to gather the necessary signatures to overturn our council's unanimous decision to build a rec center. Much like my victory in June, last week didn't give us time to celebrate the failure of the referendum, as life threw us a curveball last week with the passing of Mayor's mom, Lena. We go from laughing about being called sleazy online to honoring a true Spanish Fork volunteer. Lena has forgotten more about how to love and serve others in this town than the keyboard warriors calling us names will ever know. It's like Mom knew her timing would help our council family perspective and shifted our sights onto those who will benefit from our policies and decisions. In kindergarten, we were taught to ignore those that call us names. We don't do that here. We listen. And as Shane pointed out a couple of weeks ago, just because we disagree doesn't mean we're ignoring you, even though that's what our kindergarten teachers taught us to do when we're called names. If you're here looking for the Baba Yaga or the boogeyman, Perhaps start with some advice from Gandhi. If you want to change the world, start with yourself. Mayor, I am sorry for your loss. Me and my family have been thinking of you and your family. We love you and your family, and I personally thank you for being such a great example of a father, a husband, son, an amazing leader in the beautiful city of Pride and Progress. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks, Councilman Gordon. I want to read an email really quick before I say thanks to a few people. But it's an email that was sent to me today. I haven't replied to the resident, but I made the council aware of it and forwarded it to them. And I won't sugarcoat it. That public service is just emails like the one I'm about to read you. It's more often than not, it's the opposite. And it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be people engaging with their representatives and saying, here's what I think you can fix. Here's what I hope you can fix. And then it's working together to try to fix something. But this one came today, and I think it just points out we're always talking and concerned about growth in Spanish Fork, and guess what? We will be for 10, 15, 20, 30 years after this. Somebody else will be talking about it, and it'll be the number one concern on the residents' mind. And just like it was 30 years ago, if you look at minutes from then, it'll be the number one concern. It's never not. But this one struck me today. And this is Mayor Mendenhall. I moved to Spanish Fork from out of state about 1 year ago. So this is a new resident, and I have been so impressed and love it here so much, I had to let you know. I've lived in big cities and small rural towns, but I've never seen anything like this city. It has all the resources of a large city and the feel and comfort of a small town. It's very obvious you and the city council care about this city and work very hard to make it what it is. That might sound like a given, but the state that I came from was corrupt and oppressive, and no one cared about anything. Neither the politicians nor the residents. I appreciate and can see quality management because I was deprived of it for so long. I know how important it is and don't take it for granted. Thank you so much for your city and your work. I literally can't tell you what this city means to me. With all the problems we're facing in this country right now, I'm just so glad for this community and its quality of life. And sometimes in what I do, I call that good gas. You need some good gas every once in a while to remember, why you do things or attaboys and everything else. And that one felt a little bit like one, but this resident, I'd love to meet him sometime. I don't know who he is, but it speaks to Spanish Fork. It speaks to what our community is, and that plays into a lot of what my mom's life was. It feels terrible that we're thanking the paramedics in too recent of time. I know Councilman Marshall did that not too long ago for the paramedics that responded to his family's call for help and need for help, and I know that happens in our community every day. I want to thank our paramedics, our public safety officials that respond in the worst day that families have, and that was my worst day. It's my dad's worst day. My mom spent 5 months in chemo treatments over in Provo. And so we'd try to go over there and sit with her from time to time. Dad was with her every time, but we'd try to go over and sit there with her from time to time. And I can't tell you how many people in that floor knew they were from Spanish Fork. They were just proud. Not just as their son, serving in this capacity for a small time. They were proud of where they're from. And they told everybody, I'm sure people were sick of it at the time. They kept talking about it. They took,
Sorry, Shane started it?
yeah. They took a puzzle over there, a dowdle puzzle, and it sat outside so people, well, they had all day of trying to be treated for a terrible, terrible illness, could put together a puzzle of Spanish Fork. Up at my mom and dad's where they live, I grew up just below this by the power plant, and they live in a beautiful home that overlooks the valley and overlooks Spanish Fork, and they kind of like just looking out that window more than they like looking at TV. And when I'm up there, the last few days, especially as we're planning things out for Mom's, celebration and being with family and friends and everybody that stops by to give their condolences, I look at this puzzle and I remember my dad putting this together a couple of weeks ago, and my mom, laughing that Dad had lost a piece. And so you can see that there's a piece missing of that puzzle. And out of all the tears I've had, when I saw that missing puzzle piece, I thought, well, it's kind of a lesson in life. My mom's a missing puzzle piece. She's a missing puzzle piece to me. I'll probably, never be able to fill it. Thank you, Scott, for finding me a piece to fill it. I'll take that up and put it in so that puzzle's complete. But that's what Mom was to me. That's what she loved about our city, is everything that is included in that puzzle. And they enjoyed it so much. Their time with Fiesta Days was second to none. My mom, it's true what you hear about my mom. She was a great woman. And she is here with me in a lot of different ways and has been for the last 3 days and will continue to be, I know. But you also ought to know she's a very fun person. From the songs that will be played at a funeral for her range from hymns from the church to Wild Horses by Rolling Stones. So that's my mom. and I'll never, she's a piece of Spanish Fork that's not here, but her and my dad epitomize what Spanish Fork is. And I love her, and I miss you, Mom. And thank everybody, thank you all for your support, your physical, your emotional, your spiritual, your support. Amber's mad I'm up 5 pounds because everything's just dropped off to the house, and Dad's house too. So stop that, no more. But we'll get through it. And part of getting through tough stuff like this, I know I'm not unique. I know families are going through this all over our city. Part of how you get through it, I think, is pulling together as a family and a community. And this community is one big family. So reach out, be together. My mom sang it in our kitchen, which we all think sometimes up here we're changing the world. She has lots of dumb sayings up in her house. This one's not. It says, if you want to change the whole world, go home and love your family. And so we all need to remember that our families do collectively make up this community. And if we love them and spend time with them, things turn out pretty good for our community. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Next item after council comments, Spanish Fork 101, 6A. Councilman Gordon touched on this a little bit, but a referendum update. Is somebody giving us an official referendum update? Our city recorder is giving us that.
Hi, yes, I just wanted to report that the referendum was insufficient, and what that means is that when something is passed by the city council, either a resolution or an ordinance, that law stays in effect, even when a resolution is filed, and that law isn't held up or taken back until they have received enough signatures. And so they did not receive enough signatures. They needed 2,187, and they turned into the county 570. They were not certified because they didn't meet that threshold to have them certified, so we don't know how many of those signatures were upheld, but that's what made the referendum insufficient. So I just wanted to report to the community.
Perfect. Thank you, Tara. I'm going to read an updated statement that I have on the Recreation, Aquatic, and Senior Center. Before I do that, I want to make sure the residents know, Councilman Gordon touched on it, but I want to make sure residents know a lot of things said during that time, whether it was said in person, whether it was said verbally, whether it was said online, and typed out. This process is a legal and transparent process, and things we do in the city are legal and transparent because we're reporting to the public about what we're doing. And this was too. There was a dispersion made the very last days of this that, no, I don't think it was prudent to speak about it then because you still had a referendum which kind of has us effectively muzzled in a sense, and yeah, we can give our opinion, but we don't want people to take that opinion as it's the city's official opinion because the city's official opinion's in the packet. And I invited people to read the packet. If you sign the petition, you're supposed to read the packet. The packet was sent out, 45 days. It was a packet for 45 days. And the connotation was made that things were slipped in or things were hidden or anything like that. I want the public to know that's not the case. That's not how Spanish Fork operates, period. That's not how it operates. That legal document was available for everybody to read, including the sponsors. And if it wasn't read by people who circulated the petition or by people who signed the petition, that's not on the city. That's not on the city. In that vein, I couldn't echo more from what Councilman Gordon said about the excitement of going forward, not the excitement of any type of one side or the other, but it's the excitement for our community. It's the excitement for the future of the home of Pride and Progress, and what this means, what the future means for our kids and our grandkids to use a facility year-round, and our senior citizens to be able to recreate together, to be able to be together. That is, in the end, what we have is relationships and a space for them to give to each other and be with each other and have healthy relationships in a productive setting will be something that is key to the future of Spanish Fork. So this is on the city's website. You can go to the homepage of the city. You can scroll down to the bottom where it looks like Nick is taking us, and there's an update. And I'll just read this now, and then we'll get to some links that it takes us to. It says, "Dear Spanish Fork, 8 months ago I shared a special announcement regarding the City Council's united direction to move forward with the planning, designing, and funding of a recreation, aquatic, and senior center project. While there are still a few unknowns, I'm pleased to provide updates of the progress that has been made to this point. More information is available at SpanishFork.org/rec center, where you can find regular and reliable facts regarding the project. Funding. The city budget for FY 22 and 23 has now been approved by the council. The project has several funding sources, including sales tax revenue, RAP program, and impact fees. The budget also included a portion of funding from a property tax increase of $4.90 per month on the average home in Spanish Fork. Location, we have identified the sports park on Main Street and Volunteer Drive as the location. It will provide beauty, accessibility, and shared space for our residents to enjoy while getting healthy together. Design, we don't have completed architectural drawings yet, but they are being worked on now. Features will include indoor and outdoor pools, basketball courts, multi-purpose courts, an indoor track, gym, and cardio equipment, and a fully functioning senior center. Timeline, we know Spanish Fork families miss a community pool greatly. We will work efficiently through the design and construction phases. We anticipate completion in the fall of 2025. Admission cost, studies are being done and fees will be consistent with current market values at the time the facility is open. Thank you for your confidence and your patience. As mentioned before, this project is a vital aspect to maintaining and growing the quality of life we enjoy in Spanish Fork, the home of Pride and Progress. There will be a link at the city's website where you can come back, and again, apologize, there's not more information that we can go off of now, but please, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you see things, if you hear things, this will be a resource where you can find reliable facts. This is the sources of what you can find out about the project. And I know we're just as excited as every resident is about the future of it. But as those facts become available, we'll post them there. We'll let you know they're posted there so you can find out about them. Not opinions, not conjecture, not hearsay, but facts about this project that's moving forward. And we couldn't be more excited. So thank you, residents. Again, I've said it before, if there was a way to do this without taxes, wouldn't that be fantastic? I'd love it. We'd all champion it together. There's not. This again will provide the future that people provided for us before to live and grow that quality of life in Spanish Fork. Anybody else want to speak to that aspect, the recreation center, the future of it? Anything before we move on? I think if
We'll get it done.
go get it done.
We're excited.
Done earlier. Seth, anything?
I don't think I have anything to do you want us to show the page? There's not a ton there yet, but there will be as we have more. So
Sure, if you want to click on the link just to see what it is.
yeah, so there's kind of the outline of the timeline that we have, and a couple of questions that can be answered there, and as we have more questions that we get asked and or more information as we continue to move forward, we'll put that here and build this up and build this out as we continue to go forward. So we'll just keep adding to this page as we go forward.
Keep subtracting from the dates.
Yeah, or we'll move the timeline along. It'll be like your Domino's pizza, right? It'll be the red bar. Will
It's the
keep
tracker.
moving forward.
It's
Yeah.
the tracker. Yeah.
Something like that.
I like it.
Big pizza.
Yeah. And of course, these things are still really tentative. Is this mic still not hot? Sorry, Pete. This is pretty tentative right now. Once we get the architect hired and begin that process, we can refine those a lot more. They have a better sense of how things are and how long it will take, et cetera. So we'll refine these, especially if they're need to be refined substantially. We'd hoped to have the projected completion be in the summer of 2025. We've lost a few months, and so right now we're projecting fall of 25. But I think that our efforts will be to have it as soon as we can, knowing that every summer that goes by really is the issue that you mentioned in your comments a moment ago. Every summer that goes by is a summer that we are without a pool. The nice thing about this facility with indoor and outdoor pools is that there will be the ability to teach swimming lessons in effect, maybe even year round. We'll let our recreation staff develop that and make sure that it's functional, but you're not just limited to those summer months, and so kids will be able to learn how to swim, probably immediately. I imagine there will be a little bit of a push, a little bit of a backlog, if you will, for some of our kids that will want to be taught, and so that'll be an important amenity that we can do and provide here.
So, just a little story about how important I think this is. So I guess I did have something else to say.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have asked.
I asked.
My son-in-law played Division I basketball. And between going from Snow College to his D1 school, he came here and lived with us and needed a place to practice. And it turns out that Spanish Fork City doesn't own an indoor basketball hoop anywhere. So if I don't know a bishop or someone that has a key to a church, or a teacher or principal that has a key to a high school gym or elementary gym, you don't get to practice. So he had to go to Provo to practice. This would be a nice addition to our city. They'll allow people to come in and work on their games and work on their skill and socialize, and it's a good thing. I'm excited. Is it done yet?
With one exception, he could have worked on his suntan at the same time. We do have a couple of outdoor courts where he could have
It was a
worked on
little
his
chilly.
sun. Oh, then never mind. Yeah, no, you're right. That's absolutely something that our Parks and Recreation staff have worked on. We have a great relationship with the Nebo School District and have the access to a lot of facilities, but one glaring need is access to open gym type facility, which what you're referencing. And so we've got good program space, but we don't have good open gym opportunities anywhere. So that will be a need that gets filled.
What if the result is it's not a basketball state championship flag hanging in the Spanish Fork High School that is from 1914 was the last time the Dons won the state championship in basketball.
Wow.
1914. I mean, you ought to just take that flag down. That's just,
That's something like the
that's
Boston Red
important to
Sox, right? I
somebody.
mean, in terms of
Somebody's
that,
grandpa.
we gotta do something
Grandpa.
between.
Great
Is it the
grandpa.
women's team?
I don't know. I don't know who. I
Yeah,
have no
between
idea.
the three high schools we have that have competitive sports in high school athletics, we need one. It's the job is
We
there.
need one, and yeah, we need to be shooting inside to do it. I say it tongue in cheek that Councilman Gordon probably wants a timeline link this for the garbage facility, maybe
Yeah.
one for the sewer treatment plant, the SFCN building. I want to reiterate to the residents, this is very, very exciting, and you should be very excited if you live in and around Spanish Fork about this. It's not the only thing we got going on. I think sometimes we get that and we call, especially, us and then residents call the city, hey, well, tell me about this, and I can, I got 10 minutes, let's talk about it. But we've got a lot of other things under construction and going that make Spanish Fork and the quality of life and the necessities as well function. And so this isn't the only thing in Seth's office, Dave's office, Dale's office, Chris's office. Be cognizant of that, please. As a resident, they are dealing with big numbers, big things, all at the same time, and we decided that this one needed to be in there as well because it was time to have happen with the residents. So, thank you, staff and department heads for all keeping all the balls in the air. This is one of them, and it's an exciting one of them. Okay, if there's no more discussion with that, I think our UMPA folks are here. The item 6B, Utah Municipal Power Agency Integrated Resource Plan for 22-2041. But before we go to it, I think we're going to go backwards, right? Okay, Hydro and Nature's Sunshine, 100% renewable energy presentation. This sounds pretty cool.
Yes, this is a really neat thing.
This is Jake Tyre, by the way. He
yeah.
didn't tell Tara, but this is Jake Tyre. Yeah.
And so just a quick history and plug for the Shared Solar Program. You guys instigated the Shared Solar Program this year, which gives residents and commercial businesses opportunity to buy solar energy from Spanish Fork directly through their bill, which is pretty cool. We have a solar field out there by Lowe's, as most people know. We also, through UMPA, have access to the Mona field solar. It's called Clover Creek Solar Field. So there's a lot of solar out there, and you guys adopted a program. We can get this to the residents and commercial customers. And so we're going to give out a couple of awards tonight to a couple of the large commercial customers in town. And we'll start with Nature's Sunshine. They have purchased enough through the program to qualify as a 100% renewable business, so, which is pretty exciting. I'll invite Trent McClawson with Nature Sunshine up, and we'll present him this award. And I think he probably wants a picture with you guys too. So I don't know if we want to wait to do the picture with him and Shane. We have Shane also here from Hydro, which is another large business, but Steve Tanner, sorry, Steve. But anyways, here you go, Trent. Congratulations, good job.
Thank you, Trent. Tell us about your business. Everybody knows what Nature Sunshine is in Spanish, but
been here for 50 years, and I've been there for 22 of those 50 years, so long time. Actually, Springville resident, but my dad was from Spanish Fork, so I get a little bit of credibility. But no, I just want to say thank you to Spanish Fork City. It's been awesome to work with Jake and Kevin. They've both been very professional and just making things happen. So I appreciate, for our business, Nature Sunshine, we got the word sunshine in the name, and it's a big deal to our customers. It's a big deal to our employees to be able to say that we're 100% solar. So we're really proud of that fact. We've got some little videos that we put together, and it's really been a positive, big win for our company this year to say that we're 100% solar. So just grateful for you guys making the shared solar available to residents and to businesses here. So thank you.
Very cool. Thanks for being a great business in town. We appreciate that.
And now we'll call up Steve Tanner from Hydro. I don't know if everybody knows what Hydro is, but it's the large business there just on SR6. But there you go. And thank you very much. You bet. Congratulations.
So Hydro appreciates this opportunity and the partnership with Spanish Fork City. Hydro Worldwide is a company that's very interested in driving sustainability, both through smelting and recycling, as well as hydroelectric power and also solar. And in the U.S., we're rather far behind in those types of efforts. And so the fact that Spanish Fork is partnering with Hydro and providing this opportunity is something that not only big for us here in this community, but it's something that's recognized in all of our 11 facilities in North America. We are the first of all those 11 facilities in North America to be 100% solar. And so that helps us and benefits us and benefits the community as well. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. You want us to come down there and get a picture, or stand right here? Stand right here.
Yeah, you should.
This would be our first. Is this our first business?
Oh, yeah.
Jake, is this our first two businesses that we've done this,
This
right?
is the first two commercial.
So let's
Commercial.
let's do both of you together for our purposes, and then we'll go on to
Sounds good.
That's not good.
1, 2, 3.
Kevin, will you switch places with Jake? We prefer his other side.
All right. Somebody wants to step out really quick? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. One, two, three. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry I gave all my poker chips away to the scouts.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Appreciate being
thanks
here.
for your business. Appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations, thanks for putting the effort into that.
Oh, appreciate you guys.
Thank you. I work with Nature Sunshine. Hey, golf ball marker. You can't give scouts poker chips.
I know, it was a golf ball marker.
99, 2004. Chris has been giving me a hard time since we did that.
Scouts are really wondering what they got themselves into tonight, didn't they?
I think so.
They checked the
It
box.
was a little heavy one to come.
Check the box.
Thanks, sorry.
Mayor, maybe while we're just regathering ourselves, let me add just a couple of quick thoughts. First of all, both of these companies were, I'll reciprocate the compliment, both of them were wonderful to work with, helping us to develop the structure, the tiers and such for the shared solar. And both were chomping at the bit to get access to this. If you'll pull that up. I think it's really cool that both of these companies have sustainable power associated with their names, right? Nature's Sunshine and Hydro. They say it Hydro because of the international influence, I'm sure, but it's spelled hydro. And they own hydro power plants in the world. And so as they have contemplated as these companies have contemplated how can they get to a kind of a green energy platform, it is something that they consider to buy or build solar farms. And we understand a little bit of what that's like, especially Kevin here with UMPA, the time that it takes to do that. And when Steve from Hydro mentions that they're the first, part of the reason is that timing was good, but two, the access that what we've been able to put together with our UMPA partners to do this on their own, we're talking years, right, in terms of purchasing land and then building, getting permits and such from the federal government. And so this is a major undertaking for anybody to do. And what's really cool, just a little quiet Spanish Fork, through the greater partnerships that we have with UMPA to do something like this. This is huge. And I totally support this thought that our partners and friends from Hydro and Nature's Sunshine in their circles are going back, and they're the cool kids because they were able to get this done in a very, very relatively inexpensive manner, and certainly not time. I don't know, Kevin, am I blowing smoke when I'm talking here? This wasn't easy, right, for you? We're not talking about the wall, Kevin. If you do, you'll get something else. But it was not easy, right? The process in terms
this
of
was a great sign.
Yeah.
Big win.
So what a great opportunity, and I think we've got a few other large companies in town that are interested in it, and I think you'll see them sign on shortly.
Seth, can I add something? I've got a neighbor of mine that is doing it for his home as a residential. He thinks it's a great idea. He loves it. The only suggestion he gave to me, and I'll pass that on to you while we got you here, is he thinks it would be awesome if he could have a little sign that he puts in his yard like you have with security systems that says my home's powered by solar, shared solar or something. So just a little input, but he loves it. He thinks it's great.
He's bought into our shared.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
That's an interesting
That's a
thought.
good
Yeah,
idea.
we certainly can piece that together. Yeah, we'll chew on that. Nick and Jake will chew on that.
How many employees do you think between those? I mean, those are two large employers in Spanish Fork. Do we have any idea of the hundreds of employees that represent there?
Just shy of 1,000 between.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
I want to say probably 500-ish each. We're spitballing, but
Yeah.
probably pretty close.
Yeah.
They're involved as well, like at Nature Science, like they're in the community.
Yeah.
Say they've been
Yeah,
here.
really cool.
We've had chamber events there.
Yeah, I think Hydro's hosting the summit on Thursday.
Yeah, in fact, our current chamber president is an employee of Hydro.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, that's way cool. We get questions in Spanish Fork about, and now this solar farm is in a place where people do drive by in a commercial retail district and growing place of Spanish Fork, but everybody obviously notices the windmills in Spanish, even though that's not something we buy power directly from, but we're sure being known for a community that's looking forward in power and power products to get us into the next generation as well. So that segues into the next item that Mr. Kevin Garlick is here for from UMPA with the Integrated Resource Plan for 2022 to 2041. I mean, let's take
go,
us
guys.
all the way to
There's
2040.
76 slides in this thing.
So
Let's
this
go
is
through
a
all
great
of
segue. This guy doesn't need any introduction. Kevin Garlick from UMPA. He does a great job for Spanish Fork and the resource provider for us. He's here to just kind of give you a little brief overview of the IRP, like Brad said it's quite long. He's just going to give you, we got a slide presentation, and he's just going to run through kind of the high points, and we'll both be here to answer questions after. So, thanks, Kevin.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, staff. It's always really a pleasure to come and be part of the Spanish Fork family here. And again, I just am always impressed on how well governed the city is, and all of the things that you're actively doing. And again, I think this is another opportunity for, as we move forward, of involving the community in making decisions on your power supply. And that's what I'm going to kind of present. So we're going to talk about, again, Utah Municipal Power Agency. Again, Kevin Garlick. Our agency is the power supplier, all requirement power supplier to the city of Spanish Fork and 5 other cities. And one of the things that we're required to do, and it's actually a good thing, is to put together an integrated resource plan, basically a governing document on how we're going to make decisions going forward on power supply. And like any good kind of public process, we want to invite the public to weigh in on our plan and try to get input on whether or not they have good ideas or suggestions that we should consider in the planning process. So we've updated our integrated resource plan, and do I point this way or that way? Thank you. So again, it's really kind of a plan that pulls together a number of kind of guiding principles in our decision-making process. We look at what are the growth patterns of our different cities, load, and then we also consider what are the economic viability to meet those load requirements. We consider the capabilities of the facilities that we own and operate, along with what we want to plan to build in the future. And again, take input on what we want for sustainability. Just like we talked about, there's companies out here that are looking at wanting to be cleaner and greener in their electricity. And we're considering those as we develop our plans. So the draft of this report was prepared and submitted to the board of UMPA, which Mayor Mendenhall is a board member of the organization. In fact, all 6 mayors of the cities represent the UMPA board, and that is the governing board for UMPA. They do have a technical advisory group that is made up of the utility managers that advise the board on these kind of activities. So the board accepted the plan on the September 28th, and now for the month of October. And again, we're going around to council meetings and any of the public forums and offering and inviting the public to make comments during a 30-day comment period. The plan is available at the UMPA website, but again, I think if you go to the Spanish Fork Power website, there's links there to get to the UMPA website through your website. And again, they can download it or read it online and submit those comments in a number of ways. Our plan is to finalize it in the month of November and present it at the end of the month back to the board to adopt. Again, it's kind of a dynamic plan. It, again, can move. We're going to accept comments. We're public power. We're community power. We want to involve our community in our decisions. Next slide. So I'm going to just kind of hit the highlights of what is in this document. Again, it kind of looks like it's got lots of pages to it, and it does have a lot of numbers, but again, I'm just going to hit some of the highlights in it. And we obviously take a look and try to predict what's happening in the future. Where's growth happening in your city? What will those growth occur? And again, you're a challenging city with lots of development happening. And we work closely with Jake and his team trying to understand where that growth is happening and what kind of growth. And we have some criteria in making decisions. We also are sensitive to what might happen. Obviously, we're still trying to get our arms around how that might impact us with climate change, what it means to be all electric. There's a shift in wanting to clean up power supplies with renewables. And again, with EV, or electric vehicles, and the growth market there, we see shifting patterns that we're trying to plan and forecast. Next slide. So again, here's kind of some pictures of the different resources, and in this document, we go through and we walk through each of the different resources in detail. And I'm not going to do that, but these are pictures where, again, we get a lot of our power from, say, Glen Canyon Dam, Lake Pile. A lot of people know about that. The problem is we're in the middle of a drought, so we're trying to work around that impact, but we have long-term expectations that that will still be an important power supply for us. We do have ownership in a couple coal facilities. One of those are expected to retire in 2030. A second one will retire in 2040, unless it retires before that with new regulations. But as been mentioned, we did add a large solar project in December of 21, and the community solar project was added just over a year ago. And again, one of the pictures in the lower right corner is the West Valley project. That's a 200 megawatt natural gas facility. So again, these are just the different resources and the kind of characteristic, whether they're peaking or base, that we have to use in supplying the demand that we're forecasting. Next slide. So again, here's kind of a table of what those different resources, these are kind of actual, it doesn't necessarily reflect all of the potential that they can provide. For example, I noticed that Clover Creek hasn't been on long enough to really show its full impact onto the agency. But again, these are just tables that, again, identify what production is going on with these different facilities. On this, and so this is kind of a summary of the supply side. We're interested in the demand side, which is the next slide. In other words, next slide. So, let me back up. So we also talk about where are we going to get the power from the future, and we kind of identify a number of different sources that we're looking at. And again, we talk about the different characteristics and costs associated with these different resources. We are not working actively on any one of those sources, but we're kind of working actively on all of those sources, looking for what fits and when it becomes economical to bring on. Some of these are still in experimental stages, others are mature technologies, but again, citing them may be challenges as we go forward. So that's the supply side of things. Next slide is the demand side of things. Again, we go in and we want to help customers with energy efficiency programs, ways to reduce their power and help them save their dollars. It's kind of an interesting business model that we have, that we work to lower our revenues by helping customers save. But again, it is in an effort to kind of reduce the demand of adding additional supplies if we can do a more effective way of reducing power. And we've added a number of programs working with our member cities. Again, we talked about shared solar. We also continued with the Green Exchange program, which isn't necessarily a power reducer, but it's an air quality program that we think is very valuable. And again, there's a number of things that your utility does to help become more efficient in the process. So we're willing to add new programs and look at what customers want us to help them in managing their power supply. Next slide. So we're in this comment period. They can either mail comments to us, they can either email them to an address there, or they can visit our website and submit them online. So that kind of concludes my presentation, and I can take any questions that you might have, which is the last slide.
Kevin, I have a couple quick. So you show in there that IPMP is going to change from coal to natural gas.
Yes.
All that power goes west. Are we going to start using some of that here in the state?
Well, we don't have any rights to the Intermountain Power Project. That is a project that some of the, say, UAMP cities have some ownership in. But the project is pretty much run and controlled by the California cities. They have opportunities to call it back, just like the coal facility. They were early participants in that. Typically, the price point has been high for those cities, and there's been other alternatives, so most of the power has gone to California. I'm assuming that with the retrofitting that they're doing, building a new plant, and they're going to burn hydrogen, which is a new fuel source, not been done before. They've got to create the hydrogen, and then they've got to burn it. That's going to come at an expense that probably won't serve Utah for a while. Now, as the economies or scales of economies come down, or efficiencies, I expect that hydrogen will be a fuel of the future. But I'm suggesting that we let California experiment a while and then learn from what they do.
I figured with all the talk that's coming from California that this plant being a coal-fired and a natural gas-fired kind of thing, that they would want it to go away, but...
Yeah, so they do want the coal to go away, and they are bringing on natural gas, but they're supplementing that natural gas with a clean fuel source.
Okay, just note, so when that plant was turned up, I had the opportunity to be at that plant.
Oh.
When it went online, which is a pretty neat
Beautiful
thing.
project.
Yeah, it was then, huge. New scale in Idaho. I understand that they're looking, from what they were telling us, that's 2030, and they're are on schedule to open that. Will UMPA have something to do with that?
Well, again, at this point, we've not pulled the trigger to participate in that project. There's two nuclear projects that we're kind of watching, one being sponsored by the UAMPS group, which is the one you're referring to. NuScale is the technology, small modular reactors located up at the INL, the laboratory, Idaho laboratory facility up there. So they've identified a site, and they're working on the licensing to get that permitted. There's another project being proposed by PacifiCorp using a different reactor design by TerraPower. It's being proposed up by Kemmer, Wyoming, to replace a coal facility. We don't know. Both technologies are competing, and we want to pick the best and the winner of the two. And we're concerned nuclear is a big risk. A lot of nuclear plants have not made it to completion, with millions of dollars being spent in the design. And so we're trying to be a little more risk averse in the process.
Thanks, Kevin.
Nuclear makes UDOT look quick, right? I mean, this is my UDOT bash for the night. Okay.
Yeah. Nuclear is kind of a 10-year process. And that's why, again, we're hoping the federal government figures out how to make it happen quicker and help take a lot of the risk out. Again, I kind of go back to the old days when who built Glen Canyon Dam, Hoover Dam, the big federal power projects. That was kind of the federal government taking those on. Personally, I'd like to see the federal government take on some nuclear. I don't want the bureaucratic process. I just want the, good engineering that can come out of that to take the risk out and let us buy under a contract. So anyway, nuclear. Other questions?
Any other questions for Kevin?
Again, thank you, council. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you, and I appreciate that suggestion. We were looking for a way to help come up with a kind of a swag that we could give to those that are participating on a residential shared solar, and I think that's an excellent idea that we'll go back and probably follow up with, so thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kevin.
Sound like a broken record, but I can't say enough about Kevin and UMPA and the organization and how lucky we are to be a part of that as Spanish Fork City, along with the other cities that make that up. The public comment is open for UMPA, and so you got directions on how you can submit your questions and comments the rest of this month to UMPA. They are located just here on First South, down by our Justice Center as well. You can see their logo and their building down there. But please, questions and comments, please submit them as we look to get this integrated resource plan wrapped up and do some good plannings for how to power everything into the future here in Spanish Fork. So thanks. That takes us, after that, takes us to item number 7, the consent items.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Gordon, seconded by Councilwoman Beck. So roll call vote. Councilman Argyle.
Yes.
Councilman Gordon.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
And Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Consent items are approved. Takes us to item 8A, new business Escalante Townhomes preliminary plat approval.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. There are a couple of parcels just southwest of where 4th North goes under US Highway 6. Again, they're on the southwest side of that intersection. They were zoned R3 a long time ago, more than 10 years ago, I say 12 or 13 years ago, when we first saw a proposal for a development that involved putting some townhomes right over, right here. And actually, since then, we've seen a few other proposals to put homes on that property as well. Each of those, for different reasons, have gone away. We started working a little over a year ago with the applicant that is now proposing this particular project, which would have 20 homes built on just over 2 acres. They're on that site there. Before we go maybe to any other images, I want to note that this applicant has been able to include this property right here. It's distinctly owned from this property and is landlocked. We are particularly pleased to see that incorporated, but for it being included in this development, as you can see, everything around it previously was developed. There's no access to it. Literally, it would be just a useless piece of property. Again, but for being included with the project that we'll look at here in just a second. So that's something that I think is a bonus as well. Really, there's nothing particularly outstanding or magical about the layout. The subject property really is, by way of its configuration, a tough piece of property to design to. Getting access to homes all the way back into here is a little bit tricky. There's some slope to the property. There are some unique things about the condition of the soils there and different things like that that are among the things that have contributed to people not being able to make projects in the past work financially. But we're here tonight with a project that both the Development Review Committee and Planning Commission have recommended be approved as a master plan development, simply subject to the conditions that are noted in the staff report, and based on the, I think we just had one finding in the staff report. Let me get that right.
That the application conforms to the city zoning map.
Yeah, just that one finding. And again, that's because, unlike often is the case, the zoning in this particular instance was put into place a long time ago. So just a preliminary plat, that's the reason that there's not a public hearing for this. And again, both the DRC and Planning Commission have recommended that it be approved.
Perfect. Thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave on this project?
Nope.
Okay. The applicant here, is there an applicant that wants to speak to this? You? Okay. No applicant, then I would entertain a motion.
No, it's not a public hearing.
I will say, seeing this version with this piece added, Dave, I think is huge. That's a big deal. I remember when this came up with the planning commission, and that was brought up, right? That was a long time ago.
It has been a while.
This is a much better version than what we saw before, so I appreciate it.
Can you turn a fire truck around at the end? Is that what that's for, or what?
I
Gonna
think
take a
you can
minute?
turn multiple fire trucks around at the same time.
Oh.
There, that's my opinion. There's a lot of asphalt there.
Gotcha.
And it is for the purpose of letting people drive big fire trucks through there.
What's this little fire pit for the community? Any idea what that is?
There'll be a playground there. That's what that eventually will be, yeah.
I thought maybe for small fire trucks to turn around or something.
Oh,
There might be some of those.
the little second place one. Motion to approve the Escalante Townhome preliminary plat approval request with the attached findings and conditions.
Motion made by Councilman Gordon and seconded by Councilman Argyle. Any questions before a vote on this? Okay, a roll call vote. Councilman Gordon?
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck?
Yes.
And Councilman Marshall?
Yes.
Councilman Euler?
Yes.
And Councilman Argyle?
Yes.
That's approved. And it takes us to 8B, the Spanish Fork Community Network, otherwise known as SFCN Building, AIA Hogan contract.
So Councilwoman Beck knows a lot about this. She sat on the committee for the SFCN building. For the viewers at home, just a reminder, appreciate Nick pulling this up. Spanish Fork Community Network that provides your hometown internet as well as cable. They have outgrown their building, which you can see there on the bottom of the screen here. Is that a bad? No, it's not. Yeah, there you go. So right across the street, thankfully, there's some open space. This is where we plan to build the new Spanish Fork Community Network building as well as a shop. The architect has been on board for quite some time, as well as the construction manager, which is Hogan. Hogan's been with us during the design stage. That's really helped us with some value engineering so that it keeps the cost of the project down. Just as a reminder, Hogan was actually one of the construction management companies that submitted a proposal for us to review. They were evaluated on experience, on prior projects they'd done, their qualifications for the job, and the cost that they had, the cost of the building for them to actually construct it. And so this contract that's before you today sets out the general conditions, what requirements we have, what requirements they would have as the actual builder. Couple highlights on there to be aware of. The total contract cost is about $11,140,000. And this is about a 14-month build. So, and staff's reviewed this thoroughly, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Anything you guys are wondering about?
Tyler, do you have any pictures to show? Or Nick, do you?
We didn't bring any, you're saying, of the new building?
Spreadsheet, you want to see the picture?
Well, no, like this. Can you put it up on the board so the community could see it?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
One of the attachments, right?
I mean, it's just pretty.
Thanks, Stacy. We should have.
It looks good. Good visual, what's coming to Center Street, and is that 630 West?
Yes, yep.
Which 630 West will be widened, is that right? From First to Center?
It will, and in fact, that even extends across the street, right? Past the high school. I know it's a different project, but.
While we're stalling, Tyler, remind us where the funding comes from.
Yeah, good question. So we have bonded for this project, and so we've got revenue sources from the actual internet service that our residents pay for. Our prior director and current director have really done a good job in planning for the future and saving so that we would have the funds to pay for this continually based on the user fees of our internet and cable users. Any other funding sources, Seth, that I missed there? Okay.
No general fund, no property tax, nothing like that.
I think it's
Yeah.
important to let the
Yeah.
residents know too, like the current SFCN building is not being torn down or totally moved out of. They will still occupy that building as well as
That's a great
this
point.
building. So
Yeah.
it's not just they want a new fancy building. They're bursting at the seams. Employees don't even have an office to go into. They're totally 100% in their vehicles throughout the day. So this will just be an addition, so the SFCN will actually have two separate buildings across the street from each other.
That's a good clarification. So this shop is about 6,000 square feet. The admin building will be about 17,000 square feet.
If you'll go back to the overall map for a second, to follow up on something that Councilwoman Beck just said, there is a lot of fiber in the ground that terminates in the building that is the SFCN site, and really, you can't move that. You can move anything. It's just really costly and a big headache, right, Chad, in terms of outages and things like that. So that will continue to function as the head end. We call that the head end. That's where the brains are of the network. And that's where the head end crews will be located. But really, I think we have everybody in every closet. I think we've got them in every nook and cranny of that facility.
So with that time frame on this project, I can't remember.
14 months,
14
yeah.
months? Okay.
It's about a 14-month build. So, and after if this is approved, we should be able to start that soon.
If you'll go to one of those other images, I just want to point out how fun, how creative these guys are in the work that they do. There is one vehicle in that driveway that is actually a current vehicle. That is the make, model, and color of one of the employees of SFCN right there. That's his pickup.
It's not the semi?
It's not the semi. That's Chad.
That's Chad,
He's coming
yeah.
to check it out.
He's
Yeah.
gonna tell us if we can go through the roundabout or not.
This is not wide
This
enough
is
for
Chad's,
my
right?
trailer.
I don't know if I appreciated his tone.
miss me when
I was trying to do my best, Chad. I'm not Brandon. I don't have vocal skills.
Oh, that's funny.
Or a job, much longer.
Yeah, well, super important, again, super important for a department that, you know, what's it been, 22 years ago now, that was started and has come to be one of the big bright spots of Spanish Fork 2, actually returning funds to the general fund for the citizens of Spanish Fork and providing a service that is second to none. That companies that were just in here, companies big and small in Spanish Fork, are operating out of a fiber system that they can communicate with the world with, and that wasn't the case when we were begging for it to happen. So economically, such a huge component of Spanish Fork, I can't overstate it, and this building seems to speak to that. So
Also, when people are moving into Spanish Fork, they have fiber the minute they move in now. My kid, I have two kids that bought homes this past year, and they had to wait days, which if you're working from home, days cost you money. You can get right in
And I think
get
days
it
is
done.
probably weeks, right, in terms of getting.
Yeah, I won't name other cities, but
Doesn't
yeah.
matter. Yeah, any
It did
city
take,
other than
it took a
Spanish
little
Fork.
while.
You know, you go back to 2001, right at the turn of the century. I was reading some newspaper articles from that time frame, and I can't remember who I was talking to. I feel like I was talking maybe to you, Mayor, about this. That in 2001, you could pick up the phone and it would take you a half hour to get a dial tone, because the internet, the usage of internet was just clogging up the lines, and we didn't have phone lines for. You know, the way the telephone industry worked is we didn't have a telephone line for every home. They had, let's say, 1,000 telephone lines, and between all of us, there wasn't 1,000 people on the phone. But as soon as you started having internet sessions, and I'd be on the internet for a half hour, and so would you, and you'd clog up all those lines, and that was a real challenge. And if anybody remembers back to those days, and of this group, probably Chad, you're the only one that you were living through that nightmare, I think, a little differently than even all of us, right? As being a resident as well as someone involved in that industry. but that was painful. You know, I'm reading some of these articles, and I wasn't here, but I was reading some of these articles and thinking, this is 2001. This isn't 1995. This isn't 1975. This is 2001. And some of our residents were struggling to dial. Yeah, if they needed 911, that wasn't an option for them. And so this was born out of necessity in the industry with things that were going on. And it served our residents well, and this is something I don't always love to tout, but I think it's worth sharing here that we haven't increased any of the rates. We've just increased service levels and opportunities. So there are some residents that are on the same rate that was available in 2001. And most of them don't want to be on that because they want to consume more internet than what that level offers them. But at some point we created another tier, and it was a different price, and people said, well, that's the tier I want, and then we created a third tier. We've created different tiers, but those rates haven't increased. And that's not something that any other industry, any other business probably can say. And as you look at our graphs of use, it's amazing that when we offer another tier, the world starts to shift there. That's like, I want that, I need that, and my internet consumption needs that. But we haven't raised rates, we've just provided additional levels of service. And we started out with, was it just 1 meg down? Was that our first tier, was 1 meg down? And I think that same tier, we've actually given them, I think that's 20 megs now, right? 12 megs, thanks, Brian. Which for somebody that's just doing internet surfing and stuff, that 12 megs is probably okay. But if you're streaming, that's not enough, and you know that. But we've had a few other tiers in between, or since then, and I'm surprised at how many people we have on our 1 gig tier. And Brian's ready to start pitching the 10 gig tier. That's for the triple propeller heads out there. Which, of course, I'll be one of them.
I was just thinking I
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah, you and me, right? We're right there.
I'm in
We're right
first.
there. I don't know. Brian's like,
Brian's like,
can I come? Come on, Brian. Get
Anything, Brian?
No, do you have any questions for me?
I've got a couple of questions, Tyler, or one of you.
Yeah.
Is this the actual landscape design as well, or is this just the renderings?
It's close. We've had to revise that a little bit. I actually am not sure what we've landed on in our last revision.
Who gets to mow this?
It's going to be one of those lawnmowers that just mows on its own, so nobody falls off.
Now, if there's opportunity to use less grass, then I obviously, let's
I
take
believe
it.
that's where we
I think-
landed, that it
yeah.
was more xeriscape friendly.
I think we did change that.
It's just a rendering.
So
Awesome.
Right now, we're mowing that entire parcel with weeds.
The weeds down, yeah.
do you know, Kevin, anyone that's flipped their mow strip recently that could maybe help us
I could
put that in?
There you go.
You think you could?
I
Okay.
don't think they'd be willing to do the work. They could maybe,
Okay.
consult that. Then the other question I've got, Spanish Fork still owns this other undeveloped corner piece, is that right?
Let's
In
see.
between them and UMP.
Yeah, this.
Yeah. In fact, part of that will actually be where it'll be fenced in, and it'll be what do you call it?
It's a storage yard.
The storage. Yeah, storage yard.
So it will be used with this construction.
It will be. Yeah. So that'll be improved as well.
Okay, great.
Sorry if we took your racetrack. We'll have to find another.
So that's included in this image here. You can point to it.
Oh, okay, you can see it there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. All I can hear is that dial-up tone now that Seth mentioned it. I don't know if you guys can hear that in your heads, but sorry. Any other questions?
Anything else?
No.
I will say it'll be nice to do something out in that strip, but showing up at the farmer's market with sticker weeds throughout my all my shoes, walking through there and then having to get them out before I left was.
Where's the boots?
It's true. Should have done that. But
Grass might be nice.
yeah, grass will be nice.
Well, if we're ready,
Are you ready?
yeah, I'm ready. Are you, Chad?
I am, but
Okay.
I need to make, being I was the person standing at the state in a session,
against Spanish Fork having SFCN and fighting that fight for the company that I worked for, I'd like to make the motion.
I support you in that. I second that.
Yeah, but second before the motion.
She's going to second.
Make a motion to approve Spanish Fork Community Network, SFCN new building, AIA Hogan contract.
Second.
Thanks.
Motion made with permission given from Councilwoman Beck by Councilman Argyle, and seconded by Councilwoman Beck. And this is a roll call vote. I think Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
And Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Councilman Argyle.
Yes.
Councilman Gordon.
Yes.
Okay. So Seth, sorry. When you mentioned about some of them heartburns and going through that, I remember some of them too, because I watched them do some of their splicing when they started putting in fiber, and my concern was, because that's what I built, was networks and the loss and the things we went through. And I still remember when I had the area, I had people calling me when we come out with a thing called DSL, was a digital subscriber line. I had people calling me from other states asking where that was going to be available so they could move to get it.
Yeah.
They're moving to Spanish Fork now because that's, and I've heard that even up where I live. That's so nice to move in and they come the next day.
It's there.
In fact, the one, I hope the Telfords, if they mind, they moved across the street. They weren't even moved in, and SCSN two guys were there early in the morning, running the line in and getting ready for them, waiting for them to get there and get it done. Exactly.
We got your internet.
On
It's
top
Christmas
of
morning.
it. Yeah, and there, so. And also, a person that lives in my house backed over a facility, and they responded so quick to that, to have to replace the closure and the fiber and the. It happens, that's what it.
Which person? There's two of you. I'm so curious.
Dog driving.
We're throwing Teresa under the bus.
Obviously, it was Chad. Let's be honest. It was Chad. Thank you, and I think we view, we being all of us in this room, right? We view today the internet as essential as water and power. We have such connected homes, you know. We view that as an essential utility. So to wait days, to wait weeks in some other place, frankly, I don't think that's acceptable. Will you wait that long for power? Can you wait that long for water? And we have other means. Some people can, you know, use their phone and such, but it's not as effective or powerful and efficient as fiber. Everything that runs through a wire, everything that runs wirelessly rather, is looking for a wire, right? That's the one thing that anybody in the industry knows, that my cell phone is eventually going to a wire. It needs a wire in the ground. So we can't just do everything wirelessly. All right, enough of that.
They got fast on the side of Van still, so we hope the construction is fast and the completion's fast, right? We need it fast.
We do like that too.
Okay, item 8B is approved, takes us to 8C, Memorandum of Understanding for Department of Workforce Services Water Services System Access between the Utah Department of Workforce Services and water providers, Spanish Fork City.
Pretty straightforward contract that is on the agenda for you. This allows for us to partner with the state of Utah to provide water fund assistance for families that need it. It's administered by the state. It's not something that we have to do, but this allows us to join into whatever their program ends up being. It probably will feel in some ways a lot like a HEAT program or some of those that we have to help residents with their power bills. As I understand it, this is somewhat of a temporary program, but it may be something that the state does on long term. We'll see more from them ongoing, but this just allows us to partner with the state in their program.
Perfect. Any questions for Seth on this one? If not, I'd entertain a motion for item 8C.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding for Department of Workforce Services Water Services System Access, it's a mouthful, between the Utah Department of Workforce Services and water providers, Spanish Fork City.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Euler, seconded by Councilman Gordon. A roll call vote, Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Councilman Euler.
Yes.
Councilman Argyle. Councilman Gordon.
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
Item 8C is approved. Takes us to 9, to adjourn to the redevelopment agency.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Gordon, seconded by Councilman Argyle to adjourn to the RDA. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
We are in RDA.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Motion made by Chairman Gordon, seconded by Chairman Argyle to approve the consent items. Roll call vote. Chairman Euler? It was? Okay, Chairman Euler seconded that, or he made the motion.
No, I second. Brandon.
Okay.
made the motion.
Chairman Euler seconded that. Roll call vote to approve the RDA consent items. Chairman Euler?
Yes.
Chairman Argyle?
Yes.
Chairman Gordon?
Yes.
Chairwoman Beck?
Yes.
And Chairman Marshall?
Yes.
Okay, consent items approved. RDA public hearing section, item 11A, RDA resolution, fiscal year 2023 budget revision.
All right. 2 weeks ago, you approved the city's budget, and at that time, I had failed to give the proper noticing for the budget for the RDA and also the LBA. Those are separate entities from the city, and I don't totally understand how that works. So you can ask Vaughn if you have questions further about that. But that's why you adjourned into the RDA. And that's why we didn't go over this budget 2 weeks ago, is because we didn't do the proper noticing. So we got that done and covering it now. Within the city's, did that go? Okay. Within the city's RDA, you have different project areas. So each of those project areas will have a budget. So this is the Corona project area, and this project area is just closing up. We just made one final payment for that 290 amount. So we're just truing up the budget there from 300,000 down to that 290 on the expense side. On the revenues, that the funds to make that contract payment is coming from the general fund, so that's a transfer in from the general fund. Yeah. Another project area, so within the RDA earns fees for administering the RDA, and that this is the admin portion of the RDA. We're in talks with the local business to potentially have an agreement to help them. So that's what you see the 700,000 for. Because we're still in discussion there, I won't go into further detail. There's the interest earnings on some of the cash there. Yeah. And if you go to the next one. And then that is the RDA budget. I'll go over the LBA budget when we get to that point.
Thank you, Jordan. Any questions on the RDA budget? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to go into public hearing?
Motion to go into public hearing for the 2023 RDA budget revision. Roll call vote. Chairman Argyle.
Yes.
Chairman Gordon.
Yes.
Chairwoman Beck.
Yes.
Chairman Marshall.
Yes.
Chairman Euler.
Yes.
We're in public hearing for this item. Anybody from the public that wants to speak about the RDA fiscal year 2023 budget revision? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Chairman Argyle, seconded by Chairman Gordon, go out of public hearing. Chairwoman Beck.
Yes.
Chairman Marshall.
Yes.
Chairman Euler.
Yes.
Chairman Argyle.
Yes.
And Chairman Gordon.
Yes.
We're out of public hearing. I'd entertain a motion to approve the budget revision if there's no questions.
I move to approve RDA resolution fiscal year 2023 budget revision.
Second?
Motion made by Chairman Marshall, seconded by Chairwoman Beck. Roll call vote. Chairman Euler.
Yes.
Chairman Marshall.
Yes.
Chairwoman Beck.
Yes.
Chairman Gordon.
Yes.
Chairman Argyle.
Yes.
RDA budget for fiscal year 2023, revision 1 is approved.
Mayor, before you jump out of RDA, let me just add something to what Jordan showed. We have broken the RDA budget out into the different project areas, so you'll start to see a little bit more of that in future budgets. before we lumped the RDA into one. That works fine, but we liked the transparency of having it more broken out in those project areas, being more visible. And I think that'll work well with some adjustments that I think we'll hear from the legislature incoming, probably in this next legislative session, frankly. So I think that's a good change. We're a little bit ahead of that curve. But you'll see that with this revision and in future revisions, and I really like what Jordan's put together with that.
There's a whole lot more detail to it, but I think, if a resident just at home watching questions what this is, I mean, this is a very high-level discussion of when public-private partnerships somewhat take place to increase economic activity on otherwise vacant and
Yeah, the whole idea of an RDA is to take some ground that is underperforming, underutilized, maybe blighted. We certainly have some of those in all of the different elements of our RDAs, one or all of those factors, and we can probably look at all of them through the years and see specific great things that have happened in our community because of that public and private investment. So
an idea, a mechanism that is obviously regulated, heavily regulated by the state and everybody else that's involved with those tax dollars.
I move we adjourn to LBA.
Okay, motion made by Chairman Gordon, seconded by Chairman Argyle to adjourn to the LBA. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We're in LBA now, Local Building Authority.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Motion by Chairman Gordon, seconded by Chairman Argyle to approve the LBA consent items. Roll call vote. Chairman Gordon.
Yes.
Chairwoman Beck.
Yes.
Chairman Marshall.
Yes.
Chairman Euler.
Yes.
Chairman Argyle.
Yes.
Consent items approved takes us to LBA public hearing, the LBA resolution fiscal year 2023 budget revision.
All right, so we're going to be, okay. We'll go quick. So the local building authority builds buildings for the city and then leases them back to the city. So we have two projects currently underway. One is next door Library Hall, and then the one that we discussed earlier, the new SFCN building. So you can see Library Hall, 1.4 million spent in fiscal 21, 9.8 million spent in fiscal 22. Hopefully we'll be in there in April, and a budget of 5.9 million for this fiscal year. And the SFCN building, we had originally budgeted 11.9 million, which is around the total cost of the building, but then we realized the building won't be completed by the end of the fiscal year, so we only need 8 million for this fiscal year. And then you have the principal and interest payments paying back the debt on those two bonds that we've issued to build those buildings. The bottom line there, the bond issuance cost, when you issue bonds, there's a cost to it. We thought that we'd be issuing bonds in this fiscal year. It happened before June 30th. So that 96,000 that you see in fiscal 22, that line matches up with the 100,000. So that's why you see that $100,000 expense going away, because we thought it happened this year, it happened last year. But we were still under budget for last year, so I don't feel like we were in trouble there. All right, on the revenue side, you have lease payment coming from the city into this fund to make those, so that lease payment equals the debt payment that you're making. And again, we thought the $12 million bond would be issued this year, and it was issued last year. Any questions on the budget?
Any questions for Jordan?
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
I move that we go into public hearing.
Motion by Chairwoman Beck, seconded by Chairman Argyle to go into public hearing. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We're in public hearing for the LBA fiscal year budget 2023 budget revision. Anybody here from the public that wants to speak to that? Yes.
I just have a question, like, when there's a public hearing, do you have to notify the public, like, that there's going to be a hearing on your agenda?
Yes, that's why we didn't talk about it 2 weeks ago when we went over the normal budget, and so we had to wait and publish it, and so that's
I
why
was
we're
just looking
talking
for
about it
where
now.
it's been notified on here that it's public hearing.
Yeah, there's a handful of places that we have to notice it.
I'm not seeing it on there, so.
We'll find it. We'll help you find it.
Any other questions? Okay. Anybody else from the public? Okay, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing for LBA.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Chairman Argyle, seconded by Chairman Gordon to go out of public hearing. All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Okay, we're out of public hearing for this. Any other questions for staff or any questions up here about the local building authority? Okay,
I move to approve LBA Resolution Fiscal Year 2023 Budget Revision.
motion made by Chairwoman Beck and seconded by Chairman Argyle to approve the fiscal year 2023 budget revision for the LBA. Roll call vote, Chairwoman Beck.
Yes.
Chairman Gordon.
Yes.
Chairman Argyle.
Yes.
Chairman Euler.
Yes.
And Chairman Marshall.
Yes.
That's approved.
Before we adjourn, just a quick, I guess, a question concerning, up at the league, Zion presented a Your Land, Your Plan.
Okay, yeah.
And this is kind of that, but I just want to express a little bit of heartburn, because I don't want to see Spanish Fork City starting putting all their land up
Yeah.
for sale or for rent, you might say. But
Yeah.
anyway, a great plan maybe, but if we go forward with something, thinking about that, some thought and concern, because
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I love that concept, because there are lands that are underutilized that probably are owned by many jurisdictions. And I think that's a real easy thing for any jurisdiction to take and put this underutilized piece of ground into some asset, that bears some monetary value for them. But yeah, anything that we do will be very thoughtful, and you guys will absolutely be involved in that.
thank you.
Let me maybe address Emily's comment from earlier. One of the things that can be very confusing about these entities that you're now in this meeting, right, of the LBA, if I subscribe to the Spanish Fork City Council public notice, for example, that's probably the challenge that she's running into, is she's going to get the notice for that meeting, but this is a different meeting, although it's the exact same meeting. Nobody got up and left, nobody changed, right, but in reality, you guys changed your hats twice, and you're wearing your third hat for this particular meeting. That's one thing about these different legal entities that can be confusing. I don't love it. But if anybody searches under, for example, on the public notice website, you can see the local building authority or the redevelopment agency. You can also always just look at our agendas and see that there is, when we publish those agendas as well. I think for budgets, we also have to post something in 3 or 5 different places. I don't remember exactly around the city, but we have to put those public notices in different places too. We do post those as well, but that may be helpful for you, Emily, if there are these other entities to which well, I don't know if you subscribe to the public. Yeah, so you'd need to subscribe to these other legal entities that we have as well. So the Spanish Fork Council and Redevelopment Agency and the Spanish Fork Council Local Building Authority. Those probably are two, because I know when Tara posts those, you're going out under that name and posting that agenda, not under the city council. Yeah, because it is a separate legal entity.
But if Nick's connected to our screen here still,
Yep.
go to Spanish Fork City's homepage, go to government, go to agendas and minutes, go to city council, agendas and minutes, go to enter public site,
Right, it's all there as well.
and then
Yep.
this meeting that we're in on the 18th of October, if you view the agenda,
Yep.
you'll see it's on this agenda as the only public hearing parts of this agenda.
Yep.
So every Thursday, Friday,
Thursday.
is it Thursday?
Thursday around 5 p.m. Yeah.
Before a council meeting.
Yeah,
Not
not everyone, but before the first and third Tuesdays, check the city's website and if there's a public hearing happening, you're gonna see it on here. And if it's not there, it's gonna be bumped to the next meeting, because it's not time enough
Yeah.
for the public.
Just
to
if
know.
you've subscribed to the state's public notice website and you haven't subscribed to those two other legal
Gotcha.
bodies, then you'd miss the notice for those, because this isn't a public hearing, or this wasn't a public hearing of the Spanish Fork City
Sure.
Council.
Yeah.
And so
Gotcha.
it's a goofy thing, but it's a legal thing, and that it is what it is. So we just have to work with that.
Thanks, Seth.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our only three legal
There
entities.
are 3, 6,
I mean, you have-
9 that are listed on this public bodies.
You'll
that
have
you get
other
agendas
public
from.
bodies, but not the city council. So you may have like the
Planning
DRC, the
commission.
planning commission, things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
You may also see it on the public notice. You'll see there's one that just says public notice. It will be there as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the detail. Thanks for the explanation. Okay, that takes us to item 15. Do we have to go back into council
And
meeting?
maybe before we end that, let's also make sure we are not responsible for how that state website
Sure.
functions. So we have to put our stuff there by state law, but whether it works or not, whether it sends the notices or not, how, we don't have anything to do with that. That's the state's website functionality. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you.
You said yes, go back to council.
Yes, we can do that to see.
I'd entertain a motion to reconvene back to city council.
So moved.
Motion made by Chairman Gordon, seconded by Chairman Argyle to go out of local building authority. Roll call vote. Chairman Marshall.
Yes.
Chairman Euler.
Yes.
Chairman Argyle. Chairman Gordon.
Yes.
And Chairwoman Beck.
Yes.
Okay, we're back in council meeting.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn to closed session for land transaction and reasonably imminent litigation.
Motion made now by Councilman Gordon, seconded by Councilman Argyle to go into closed session. Roll call vote. Councilwoman Beck.
Yes.
Councilman Marshall.
Yes.
Councilman Euler.
Yes.
And Councilman Argyle.
Yes.
And Councilman Gordon.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next council meeting. Thanks.
Let's wrap them first.